my darlings, I'm Sophie Darling and welcome back to the channel. Today we're reacting to episode 10 of Vinland Saga and we got introduced a little bit more to Thorkill in episode 9, who I confused with Askeladd at the end of episode 8 and I was sorely mistaken. It is not the right person. We also know that Canute is being left behind to try and take London with only 4,000 troops, which is not a lot, but also that Canute is going through some emotional distress. So it will be nice to know more about Canute because we only really see glimpses of them. They're kind of this mysterious, shrouded figure. Thorkill recognizes that Thorfinn is a warrior in a way that Askeladd doesn't quite recognize his strength and his prowess, but Thorkill did, and Thorkill also chose not to kill Thorfinn because of him being Thor's son, but also it's dishonorable, and he knows that it's dishonorable, which makes a telling difference to Askeladd. But without further ado, we're going to get into episode 10. They are marching and on their way to Wessex, so let's see how the next episode takes place. Jesus Christ! Thorkill's pissed. He's trying to prompt them into a fight, isn't he? He's like a one-man cannon. He wants a battle. He's getting so impatient. Jesus Christ. I wonder if Canute's gonna come up with like a really bold, decisive plan that is going to win London, but we'll see. The men won't wait around that much longer. It's a lot of pressure. We just have to endure. I want to know more. Tell me more about this person and why there's emotional distress and why they have to endure. Oh no. Oh no, Thorkill! He's gonna go on a one-man mission, isn't he? Baby Thorfinn! Is he dreaming about Vinland? Oh, his mom. No, he's just a baby. Is this a memory or is this a dream? I imagine a dream. I'm glad we moved here. Yeah, he's dreaming of Vinland. This idealistic hope that life would have been better if they had gone to Vinland rather than stayed. I wonder if this is gonna drive him then to going home. Yeah. His father is almost like his guiding conscience. You have to go home. No, it wouldn't. He just wants you to be safe. This isn't the life he wanted for you. Oh, he's gonna see his dad. He's just traumatized. God love him. The message is clear, Thorfinn. You gotta go home. Your father wants you to give up on this journey of revenge, but I still don't think he's gonna listen. I think he's still gonna be hell-bent on it. Again, he's very young. But he might get the idea to move his family elsewhere. Finland? No. Awful. It's the juxtaposition between two people trying to reach one another when they were savagely murdered and the reason why they were savagely murdered. Money, gold, jewelry. Wife Thor's tried to drive home the point that war is not something anyone should be doing.
だったらもっとでかい町を襲おうぜ。近くにブリストルとかあんだろ。
バカか。100人バカしで何ができるってんだよ。
今バカっつったかおい。
お、聞こえたか。耳だけはバカじゃねえみてえだな。
なんだとてめえ。
Oh god. You're about to have less than 100 if you keep fighting amongst each other.
イングランド王も国外に逃げたっていうじゃねえか。もうこりゃデンマーク王の勝ちだよ。戦は終わりだ。
ロンドンにあのトルケルがいるぜ。野郎の嘘くせえ強さは見ただろうが。
そもそもありゃ俺らと同じノルド人だぜ。死に体のイングランドをいつ見限ってもおかしくね。
Oh, for God's sake.
じゃ仕方ねえ。どっちが死んでも後でちゃんとアシュラッドに報告しとけよ。
Yeah, they're about to go to like what, 99 men instead of 100. Makes me want to cry every time I see Thor's being so fatherly to his son. Gets me really emotionally worked up. I think it's because he was so proud of his boy.
まだ日も昇ってねえぜ。
But that's just going to make Thorfinn all the more resilient in avenging him. He needs to go home. His poor mom.
俺はてめえらの仲間じゃねえ。てめえは俺をうまいこと操ってるつもりだろ。今はそうやってうぬぼれてろ。
Oof.
俺に喉を裂かれてくたばるその日までな。
Asgard's so
あのちび
unfazed.
がけが俺にガン飛ばすとは成長したもんだ。お前は成長し、俺は老いる。いつかお前に負ける日も来るだろう。当然のことだ。どんな
He's
強者もい
delaying
ず
the
れは死ぬ。
inevitable.
この石これは今のイングランドの住人、サクソン人が作ったものじゃない。強い民族だったそうだ。だが500年前サクソンに滅ぼされた。高度な文明だった。今よりもずっとな。
Everything fades with time.
何が言いて。
まあつまりだな。ローマ人をサクソンが滅ぼし、そのサクソンを今度は俺たちが滅ぼす。なんでもキリスト教徒どもの言うことには、あと20年もしたら最後の審判とやらが下るそうじゃねえか。
That's been said for so long. But society changes.
その日、人間はすべて神に殺され、今の世は完全に滅ぶんだそうだ。
The weak beat the strong beat the weak, and on it goes in an endless cycle.
黄昏の時代の夜明けだ。
New beginnings. What's coming?
イングランドの兵か。
No, probably
Yeah.
not.
あれ、友軍だ。我らはスベン王配下、アシェラッド隊。
我はクヌート王子殿下のラグナル隊。
Oh,
クヌート王子。
この近くなのか。
Forkel. Oh no, what did he do?
数は500ほど。奴の直参だけ連れてきたようだ。
Oh my
本体
god.
の足跡をたどってきてる。
He really is a man on a mission.
クヌート王子の4000がいたはずだが。
そんなものとっくに撃
Oh
破されたよ。
shit.
俺がその生き残りだ。
Oh fuck, Forkel. And you only need 500 to do that.
奴らトルケルを先頭に砦から撃って出てきたんだ。
Yikes. What about Canute? Jesus Christ.
誰もなすすべなかった。本体まで一直線だ。
トルケルメがそこまですぐにここ。
Too late, 4 kills here.
王子様みっけ。クヌート殿下はどうなった？
奴らの虜だ。トルケル軍と共にいらっしゃる。
Hostage. Kinda smart. Needs to leverage him.
キコーラも加わってくれ。今は100人でもありがたい。
They've been complaining about having nothing to do.
どうする？決めるのはあんただ。アシュラット。
New day is dawning.
ま
A new
ったく
beginning.
おちおち黄昏れてもいられねえな。
Your time to shine.
聞こえねえか、ビョル。ラグナロクの足音がよ。
え？
The end of the world. What the fuck? Ah! What? Is he saying that this is his moment to rise up? To establish his own power and authority?
埋めとけ。こいつの乗ってきた馬もだ。
No, not the horse.
いいか、
The
野郎。
horse.
よく聞け。ここが博打の打ちどころだ。クヌート殿下はデンマーク王位継承権第2位のお方。どちらの軍に渡しても報酬はたんまりだ。お前ら想像できるか？
Devil's advocate as
デンマー
always.
クとイングランド、二大国の覇者が賜るご褒美よ。よしやろう。
Two they can leverage. Canute 2 for the most money. Denmark or the English. It's always about money
どう
with
すんだ
you.
よ。焚きつけちまって。相手はトルケルだぞ。賞賛あんのか？
Of course he does. He's a little weasel.
さあなって。お前。
黄昏の時代だぜ、ビョル。どうせならパーッと暴れてみようじゃねえか。
Interesting. I wasn't expecting him to full on take the guy's head off with a sword. I think that's what shook me, was just how like out of nowhere it felt. I was so just vibing into what he was saying that then all of a sudden, bam, there we go. That was insane. And also very philosophical. And I'm gonna have to try and take a moment to try and understand what I think he's saying. So the way that I interpreted it, which could be entirely wrong, is that one day the end is going to come for us all. No one is exempt from that. Just as the Romans were defeated by the Saxons, and the Saxons in their mind are going to be defeated by the Vikings will one day also be defeated by someone else. There is always going to be another to bring about the end of someone else's reign, to effectively initiate twilight. So in the end of one thing begins a new thing. So this idea that when one thing comes to an end, it also inevitably leads to the beginning of something new. Hence why he says how bizarre for twilight to be interrupted by the dawn. It's the breaking of a new day at the end of something, which could in itself be a symbol of Askeladd knowing that one day he is inevitably going to die. Just as he says to Thorfinn, Thorfinn has the benefit of growing older while Askeladd is getting older. Thorfinn's growing up, becoming stronger, whereas Askeladd's strength is waning. Not now, but it will with time, because everything must come to an end. Nothing is forever. Nothing is entirely stagnant. When one door closes, another door opens, and that's essentially the metaphor with twilight and the dawn. When one thing comes to an end, another new beginning starts. When the Romans came to an end, the Saxons rose up and took their place, and it was a new beginning. So likewise, Askeladd's reference to Ragnarok, it's the chaos and destruction of something else, which may pave the way to a new beginning, a new potential hope or future. Maybe not necessarily for him, but maybe for Thorfinn. Maybe in a way it's his acceptance of his fate, that he knows that it's inevitable, that one day he will die, and it will be because Thorfinn is younger and stronger than he is. Whether it's age that takes him or Thorfinn, he will die, and now he's making a move to make a final name for himself, to make a statement and impact on the world, because he knows that time is against him, just as time is against everyone else. And I think that's what he's trying to get across, is that nothing's inevitable, and we have to grasp what we can in life in order to make something of ourselves. Hence why he wants to take up this battle and leverage Canute for all the riches and rewards that they could possibly be granted, because it's a statement, it's something big, it's not what people expect. It's not about whether he is willing to save Canute for the sake of it being Denmark's second prince. It's about leveraging Canute for something bigger. It's about taking that opportunity whilst it presents itself, because that opportunity may not last forever. But I think ultimately the whole purpose of this speech may have more meaning in future episodes to come. I think it's supposed to possibly allude to maybe Askeladd's acceptance of his own mortality and wanting to make a final impact upon the world, but also his understanding that Thorfinn will one day kill him, and he will be replaced and forgotten in the way that other dynasties have risen and fallen, and a new one has emerged in the aftermath. Nothing is forever. So it's almost this idea of the futility of life. I think it's also a recognition of the cycle, that history is doomed to repeat itself. When he talks about how the Romans conquered and then they were defeated, and the Saxons conquered and now they're in the process of defeating them, and then mentions themselves, that it's alluding to one day the same will happen to them. History is cyclical, it's repeating, and therefore there is never going to be an end to this bloodshed and this conquest. And it's this acceptance of his own mortality, acceptance that just as twilight fades for him, the dawn begins for another. He may one day die, but the world keeps on turning. A new life will be born. It's why sometimes your older years are referred to as your twilight years. It is the end of your life. It is the end of everything you are before fading into black. Whereas being born, your birth, would be the dawn of your life. It is the start. It is the new beginning. It is the opening of the world to new potentialities and new possibilities. I think, again, as I've said, this conversation may have more meaning when I watch further in. I'm just essentially theorizing based off what I know so far and how I think Askeladd could be referring to his conversation about Twilight and Dawn and also the mention of growing older, again, I still think it's the acceptance of his own mortality and the acceptance of his own fate, that he knows that he is going to die and it will be at Thorfinn's hands. And if it's not at Thorfinn's hands, he's still going to die. So I think I'll possibly be able to look back on this and talk about this more when I have a bit more context of the show. So if I haven't touched upon something yet, please don't presume it's because I don't think it's important. It is, it just may not be initially coming to me because I don't have the full context of the show, whereas those of you that have seen the full context of the show may have a different interpretation, different understanding, because you know how everything transpires and plays out, versus me, who has no clue what's happening, and I'm just kind of looking at it in the moment and of what we know about Askeladd so far. I think we are going to see Thorfinn go home at some point, though. This image of his father telling him that he needs to go back, he needs to protect his mother and his sister, he needs to be there for them. He can't just continue to go on this path of revenge, because this path of revenge is only going to lead to further bloodshed, further anger and sadness and hurt, and he wants him to deviate away from it. He wants him to be better, because it's this understanding that revenge is only going to reopen the wound. It's not going to heal what's broken. And I think Thorfinn knows that, but again, he's wrestling with this anger that he feels. And again, I've said from episode 1, the show is going to be very focused on Thorfinn and the conflict that he feels between this anger and this rage and this knowledge that his father's passed on to him, that he needs to be better, that he needs to move on and move forward, because living in the past and being consumed by it is only going to lead to further hurt. And it's going to be a rough journey for Thorfinn, I think, to fully come to understand what it is that his father means. And I do feel for him, it's not going to be easy. I wonder if they ever do get to go to Vinland, because obviously the show's called Vinland Saga. So initially I thought it was all going to take place in Vinland, but I guess maybe Vinland remains this optimistic dream. You know how like people would talk about the American dream, and back years and years and years ago, America was the place that everyone wanted to immigrate to. It was the place of potentiality, of new hope, new beginnings. And that seems to be what Vinland signifies for Thorfinn. New beginnings, hope, healing, fertile land, warmer climate, somewhere that his mother and sister can thrive. But he's obviously seeing himself there with his father, and then the warmth of that scene dissolves into grey cloudiness, because reality is intruding upon this dreamscape. He can't reside in this dream world forever. Cruel, harsh reality comes back into the picture, which is the raiding, the violence, the bloodshed, the loss of his father. And this is all what he has to come to terms with. And he has to come to the understanding that he needs to eventually return home. But again, even if he returns home, I think he's going to find himself maybe struggling to adapt, to adjust, and that could still lead to him going on adventures and pursuing revenge, because the revenge doesn't stop at Askeladd. Askeladd killed Thors for money because he was paid to do so. Askeladd did have admiration for Thors as well. So I think Thorfinn imagines everything's going to stop when Askeladd is dead, but that's not the case, because Floki was also behind it, and we don't know if there was further people that were in on it. And who's to say that there isn't a network connected and Thorfinn decides that he needs to bring it all down, burn it all to the ground? We don't know. I think there's going to be things that put a spanner in the work, that he's going to come so close to this understanding that his father's tried to instill in him, that he needs to move away from violence, that he needs to be better than how they were raised. He needs to not give in to the anger and hurt that he feels, but to become the man that his father wanted him to be, which is a man of peace and understanding, which is hard to be in a world like this where it is so normalized and socialized for violence to be enacted upon you or for you to enact violence upon others, especially those that have hurt you. So it's easier said than done to be the better person, to be the bigger person. But in this culture, it's near impossible because of the fact that you have the glorification of Valhalla, you have this masculine bravado that going to battle is increasing your honor, is increasing your glory and your status, and will allow you to go to Valhalla if you die. There is positive connotations to war, which is why you see so many young boys idolizing the idea and getting excited at the prospect. And Force was dismayed by it because he has been there. He's seen what violence does. And yes, he chose to become more of a pacifist, but he still used violence when necessary, but it was more defensive than it was to actually end someone's life. That was never his goal, never his mission, because he understood the importance of life. He understood that every life is valuable and that in this world, we really don't have any enemies, only the enemies we create in our own minds. We choose to make them our enemy. They aren't necessarily, by extension, the enemy. It's just how our mind works. We create them into this villain, and in doing so we make it our goal to eliminate them. And that's what Thor's wanted Thorfinn to be aware of, that no one in this world is your enemy. It is a structure that you make yourself or that society makes. It's not something that is inherently naturally happening. And I think Thorfinn may eventually come to the understanding that his father was right, but it's going to be a very, very long and arduous journey. And I really do love Thorfinn and Asgard's relationship. It's a very complicated one because obviously Asgard killed his dad, so he's going to feel this rage and anger towards him, but Asgard does feel some sense of loyalty and affection towards him, even if he is manipulating him for his own benefit. I think he does care for Thorfinn in a way that he possibly didn't expect to. I think that's all I want to say for now. I'm looking forward to the next episode and seeing how this works out with Canute now being captured, if we'll learn more about Canute, because again, we don't really see Canute's face. It's all very shrouded in mystery, and I'm kind of looking forward to learning more and hopefully getting a bit more backstory, because again, we still don't know why they were emotionally distressed, but hopefully we'll get some further understanding as the show goes on. But thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this react, please consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment below to help boost this video into the algorithm. And until next episode, bye!